Hey, we're back with another project. We took a break from the house for a little bit, and a friend of mine got a hold of me and said that he had a couple molds for Atlas stones. So wanted to know if I wanted them. I said, heck yeah, we'll see what we can do. So in this video, we are going to be putting a whole new twist on the Atlas stone and doing some upgrades Larew style. So come along and let's see what we can do with this stone. Okay, we're going to go over our materials list for this build. We are going to try to use rapid set concrete mix. The reason we're going with this is everybody normally uses a Portland-based cement. This is hydraulic cement, super strong, but the only problem is it's very fast setting. So this set starts setting up in 15 minutes. So what we got is we also got their rapid set control. This will slow down the setting process. I only got 2 of them. That's all they had in the store. So we're gonna see how it goes. That's what we got in the assembly line. Mel's going to be stirring. Noah's going to be agitating, and I'll get to that shortly. We're also going to be using their flow control. And so we've got our distilled water, and it's actually chilled. We've done some research, and 40 degrees gives you the strongest long-term compressive strength of the concrete. So we're going to do 3.5 quarts of water, and then we're going to mix in some flow control. And this is a plasticizer, so it'll give us a lot more liquidness of the concrete, so it should pour a lot easier. And it also changes the properties, making the concrete stronger, easier to pour. And so we've got those. You're going to need a mixer. You're going to need the duct tape is for our form, and we're going to be using a 16-inch Slater stone form. So we should hopefully come out with a 175-pound Atlas stone when this is all said and done. We've got our PAM cooking spray as our releasing agent for the concrete, which we'll show you how we do that here in a minute to make sure the concrete doesn't stick to the form. 2 buckets, one for me to be dumping, one for Mel to be mixing, and
4 gallons of water.
Yes, 4 gallons of water. We've got the sander back there, so we're getting ready to go. We'll get set up and we'll be back. All right, now we're going to get our mold prepared. We're going to take our PAM cooking spray. I did some research. People use WD-40, people use silicone. I had PAM in the kitchen cabinet with extra virgin olive oil. So we're going to try that, and then once I get it all PAMmed, we're going to wipe it down because you don't want any puddling. Puddling will mess up the surface of the stone, and that's the whole purpose of everything we're doing. Is I want to create the smoothest surface of the stone with minimal amount of air bubbles, puddling, that kind of stuff, to where we don't have to go back and patch it. So if we can turn out a bowling ball looking 175-pound stone, I'll call it a success. So we're going to give you a time lapse. Mel's going to, once I get the surface prepared with the PAM, we're going to put both halves together, and I'm going to make sure that there's no cracks down in here. As I'm holding the cracks closed, Mel is going to put tape up across, and then our mold will be ready. We'll get set up for our assembly line, and it's going to be a fast 15-minute scramble. All right, we've got all 8 pieces of tape per the Slater's recommendations. We also went with the Gorilla Tape because it is stickier and is supposed to leave less residue on the mold. So next thing, we want to make sure all the seams are nice, and then we're ready to mold. So that's going to
They recommended balancing the form either in a tire or in a 5-gallon bucket. The video that we watched from Slater recommended the bucket over the tire, but it's supposed to keep it nice and steady.
Yep, and so we don't get any deformations. If we set it on the ground, it would get a flat spot. So it's time to start getting stuff mixed up. And I almost forgot, my favorite new toy is a Ridgid bucket scoop. So all those years of fiddling around with the trowel, trying to get the remainder of the drywall up on the house out of the bucket, we could have easily scraped the bucket out. So you'll need one of these. It's more of a luxury item, but I needed an excuse to buy one. So this was perfect. Size of that June bug. Dump half a bag of the Rapid Set into the bucket. We've got our 3.5 quarts, which is what they recommend for structural concrete. You can use up to 4.5, but ideally we're going to stick with the drier mix with the flow control to try to get the best quality stone we can. We're going to pour half a bag in. Mel's going to stir. We're going to add some flow control in, add the rest of the bag, stir for 1 to 3 minutes till there's no lumps, and then pour and move on for 3 more buckets. And all I'll know is vibrating the mold, getting all the bubbles moving. So here we go. Well, that was exciting. I don't remember anybody on YouTube sweating or moving near as fast as we had to do. And I mean, that stuff, we were going to put the set control. But Mel was like, no, we got this. So we didn't use the set control. So a couple things we learned. I mean, I am sweating like a hog. First thing, add all the water right out of the gate and add all the flow control. The first one was thick, and my good old trusty Makita, I knew the batteries were dying. That's why I prepared for the worst, had a secondary, which it's a good thing I did. Switched over to the good old trusty DeWalt and we were going, but the first batch was thicker. So then the second batch, all the water went in, dumped in all the flow control, started pouring it in, it turned to soup. Really easy to mix, and then kept dumping.
And something else with that one getting thick, I think part of the problem was that we dumped the mortar in too quickly. Like we let it clump up ahead of us.
Yeah.
And you couldn't break up the clumps enough, at least not with this drill. Maybe if you had a hammer drill or something, we couldn't break
something
it up
with a little
enough.
more
So if you can keep ahead of the clumps, that would be okay, but don't let them get ahead of you.
Right. And so hopefully we don't have a weird layer here. I tried agitating it and taking our mixer apart, and then trying to get the layers. But even going down in as quick as we were working, it felt thicker at that specific layer. So I'm curious to see what it looks like when we take the mold off. Talking about this being a luxury item, this is not a luxury item. This is a necessity. Get you a bucket scraper, because if you're going to use the rapid set stuff, because there is no margin for error. Now, if this looks poopy, we'll probably come back, redo it,
continue
with set control, slow it down a little bit. But you guys are learning right along with us. The next video, I'm sure, will be a lot smoother. But this was trial 1 of rapid set cement mix, and we ended up using 1.5 packets of flow control per bag, and that worked pretty good. And then initially I was going to go with the 3.5 quarts. We needed the whole 4 quarts with the 1.5 flow control to get it mixed up. The aggregate in this stuff is awesome. It's very uniform. I'd say it's all about 3/8 of an inch. It seems like it's going to be nice. I just hope that layer where it was thicker, I hope it doesn't mess up, but we'll see, because this stuff sets up in an hour.
You can see already, I mean, you can't move the camera, but it is starting to set up here on the top, like the mold's warm.
Yes, no, it's hard.
But it's like...
So here in an hour, we'll see. I might pop the top off this mold. I wanna kind of leave it do its own thing, but if we had the first bucket right, I'd say we're gonna have a perfect mold, but that first bucket was
kind of questionable.
So we'll see. But we'll be back when we pop the mold. All right, we are back. It has been 18 hours since we started this little endeavor, which by their chart, we should be at like 4,500 PSI. And then in a week, I think it's up to 5,000, 28 days, it's up to 6,000. And that's without putting the flow control. And the flow control, the plasticizer is supposed to increase the strength beyond that. So we'll see. Looking at it right off the bat, the one thing I wish we would have done, Maggie, is kept adding water, or keeping this surface that was exposed wet. If you read the instructions, they require exposed surfaces to maintain wet while it's curing. So this is the only spot that didn't, which, I mean, it looks fine. I'll show you guys here in a minute. But we're going to untape it and crack the mold and see what we got. And we'll have Maggie lift it down for us. All right. So, see if the pan works.
Let's hope so. Come on. Yep.
Yep, good, not great. That's the, I think that was because of the lack of water. All right, now, let's see what the other side looks like. I'll pick it up, maybe, remove the bucket. Nice.
Now we'll see. logo
I
did.
hope this turned out. Oh, roll it that way a little bit. Ha ha! Well, yeah, the part that I worried about turned out perfect.
Yeah.
Sweet. All right, we'll bring you guys in for a look. Oh, Maggie's eating. So, as you can see, this surface, there is no surface imperfections whatsoever. We added a little touch to it, but it says Slater stone, 16-inch. I don't know if you guys can see that. But we'll go get the bathroom scale and see what she weighs. But you can see on the bottom side, this is where I thought we were doing good. It looks a lot worse in the camera than it is in real life. But the top turned out perfect. Ooh. Got a crack there, which I'm curious if that is just superficial or not. So, but all in all, I think it turned out well. We'll just check the weight of it, and we'll be back whenever we're weighing it. Maggie likes it. I think it looks cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Before we weigh it, I carried this puppy outside, and I honestly don't think we're going to change a thing about it. Where I was concerned about the back being a little bit porous, that's actually very, very good for the grippiness. So with the smooth side, which is against your clothing and stuff like that, is smooth. It's not catching you up on your clothes. But the grip, where you need it to grip your forearms when you're popping it up, this has excellent grip, which you come on around here and I'll show you. The only thing that I'm going to do is get some sandpaper, and just where that lip was at the top, I'm going to round that off with a little bit of sandpaper. But as far as this is concerned, this is perfect for getting a good purchase on the stone. The cracks that I was concerned with, that's literally just where the seam was. It's completely superficial. You know, it doesn't go any distance whatsoever, and I don't think this could have turned out any better. So I think we're going to pour a couple more of these. We might try floating I did the math, and I can make a 100-pound ball by floating a 7.5-inch styrofoam ball into the core of it. So I'm curious to see how that goes. We might try that. That's actually a borrowed mold, and to float the styrofoam ball in, you have to drill a hole in the mold. So I might be picking up my own mold to do that. Either that, or maybe I'll trade him a stone for a small hole in his mold. But we'll be back. We're gonna get a bathroom scale. This should be around 175 pounds. So fingers crossed we're close to that. I mean, it's got some weight to it, but we'll be back when we get the scale.
The stone should be approximately 175 pounds. So Nathan's got our trusty scale here, and he is going to weigh it and see where we fell.
163.4. Not bad. Not bad. Oh, mama. All right. Ready to make another one?
Yeah.
Good. Let's build the apparatus to set it up on or throw it over.
Sounds good.
All righty. Off to the next project.
Good, not great.